Now we start. Participants who don't able to see online these lectures can see this after that in record. And now we start. I welcome all participants of the Human Light System project. My name is Oleg Bazhenov. I'm a professional photographer, graphic designer, musician, and art director of the Human Light System project. My course of lectures is named Healing Photography. And this course is not really a usual photography workshop. I will devote a separate lecture to the technique of photography, working with the camera and with the light, as well as other professional knowledge. But we will devote most of the time to speaking about photography as a way of changing ourselves, healing ourselves and the world around us. And I will start with a short story about my own experience, how I came to this vision of photography. I tried different kinds of creativity. I was engaged in music, video, design, but photography became the main interest of my life. This interest in photography gradually grew into something more than just creating beautiful images. I was engaged in many genres of photography. I worked on various commercial projects, but mostly I worked creatively. Day after day, I created more and more new images of the surrounding world. And over time, I began to notice that if I managed to get into the right atmosphere during taking pictures and somehow tune myself to a special wave, a special inner state, I could enter a special mode of vision, which enabled me to take very special photos, very special pictures, to notice something that I did notice before, to capture unique states of people or nature, or amazing in their subtlety, originality and beauty. And at this point, for the first time, I seriously pay attention to the state in which I usually find myself, and to the way it affects everything I do. I realized that not only my mood, bad or good, has a direct impact on the results of the photo session, but all shades of my feelings at the time of shooting are also important. Every tooth, and most importantly, the quantity and quality of the energy that I radiate, and how different can be results of same shooting. This surprised me for the first time when I attended a master class of a great Russian photographer, Pavel Kiselov. There is about 40 photographers got together at this masterclass, a few beautiful models, and even one dance freak theater be with us. We came to a beautiful place on the Gulf of Finland in St. Petersburg and spent 2 days photographing the same stands, same people, same models, the same theater performance. And what was my surprise when I saw the results of the shootings? Those were absolutely different pictures, as if they were taken in different places and with absolutely different people in completely different situations. 40 absolutely different versions of what had been happening in one place with same people. And what versions? I had tons of impressions. I remember how many details I had not noticed. I would never have told that this girl could be photographed this way. And then what a look, what a state, and where did he find this? I would not have thought of shooting that. And they managed to photograph this, and so on and so forth. And it was so in spite of the fact that I had been watching them all during shooting. And when I remembered these photographers, the whole masterclass, what had been taking place there, and how I began to understand that in order to start seeing in a new way and noticing something that you have not noticed before, it is necessary to start feeling in a new way you had not left before. To learn to enter a special state of consciousness and energy that will enable you to see the world a completely new way. And when I looked at the works of such masters as Annie Leibovitz, for example on the photos of celebrities whom I had already seen from all possible angles, I felt something completely new, some deeper meaning. I felt the inner beauty and mystery, the living and beautiful inner world of a person, not just an external gloss and rehearsed smile. I show you these photographs. One moment, please. See this? Look at these photos. It's more than just beautiful images. I see famous people who I've seen before in many angles. I see in these photos inner world of a person. I see more than just beautiful and gloss, just form. I see the states. I see inner world. Look at this Schwarzenegger. It's so beautiful. It's so much love in this picture. Or Angelina Jolie. In this photo, it's happy. It's many information about happy and light and love. It's more than just beautiful picture. And Leibovitz, it's a great master of this. It's a great master of inner states, of beautiful states of people. And for example, I show you some photos from fashion style. Okay, it's fashion photos. It's very beautiful. It's very technical. It's technical perfect, but this pictures is empty compared with photos of Annie Leibovitz. These pictures have a structure of the beautiful form of a glass, and maybe just of some sexual feelings. In these photos, don't have an inner world of a person, but just beautiful form. See this? It's just sexual feeling and some beauty of the woman. Not about inner world or light or love or stuff like that. Okay. After all, this is, in my opinion, one of the main values, for example, of people from the sphere of art or science. It is not about how good and skillful they are in painting, counting, or playing music, but how original their vision and feeling of the world. of the world is, how they come up with something completely new, how deeply and subtly their vision penetrates things, and what is most important, how it influences the results of their work and people. And here we're coming close to one of the main secrets of any creative work. While being at a higher level of awareness and inner energy, we can produce a more visible direct impact, not only on people whom we are photographing, but also on the state of nature and even on situations on the street. Okay, I understood what it was about. I realized that I should work first of all on myself. On my own state, my level of energy, but how I achieve this. And I began my search. At first, it was completely unconscious. Sorry. At the time, I knew nothing about yoga, mental practices, trainings, meditations, and all those practices that can change your level of feeling. And when I heard something about these things from someone, I brushed them aside as fairy tales. It should be noted that at the time, I was a writer, shy, uncommunicative person. I worked as graphic designer, and all I could do well was taking photograph of architectural and things, maybe. But during that masterclass of Pavel Kiselev, I managed to take pictures at a much higher level. Although the teacher himself acted in a very cunning way and spent as little time with us as possible, without really telling anything. He just imperceptibly created different situation and atmosphere on this masterclass. I went to this masterclass only because of this, as I did not like the classical sham of teaching photography, which seemed to me deadly boring. So at the masterclass, in fact, no one told me anything directly. But during those 2 days, I managed to take pictures which I had never taken before. There was more life in them, more movement, more meaning. Just in 2 days, it was magic. I realized that the group of these wonderful photographers had some influence on me. And this influence was not informational. We didn't talk. We almost did not discuss the topics of exposure or apertures, stuff like that. But it was some kind of energy influence, as if they had shared their state, their strength, their talent with me in some mysterious way. And I was able to enter this state myself and do something that I had never do before. But how? I remember that in the beginning of the masterclass, I was in high stress. A lot of strange, unfamiliar, expressive people, beautiful, half-naked girls, and absolutely no one cares about you. It's not clear what you are supposed to do and how. And at that time, this stress pushed me out. My fear turned into a new, strong, unfamiliar feeling. The feeling of creativity and delight the desire to break all rules and improvise. And the main thing was that at that moment I began to feel people in a totally different way. I fell in love with them, actually. There was no trace of fear and shyness left. And in this state, I was able to do much more. I managed to take photos of a much higher quality. Let's show, I want to show you some photos from this photo session. It was 2004. So long ago, but it's beautiful. One moment, please. Here is these photos. Photos of beautiful people, photos of beautiful states of happiness and light. It was wonderful. It was wonderful, wonderful photo session. It was much more than just beauty. It was atmosphere and many, many feelings. A dense freak theater. It was wonderful, wonderful entertainment. Okay. But the most interesting thing was yet to come. A couple of days after the masterclass, I could not repeat anything like that. As a photographer, I stayed at my previous level. I could not get into the same inner state during shooting alone as I had done in the group during the masterclass. But I can begin to take photography only in groups. I must grow myself. And I began to wonder what else could push me to the next level. And then I remembered about my stress during the masterclass. I remembered about my fear of communication with the new bright people. I remembered about that feeling of embarrassment and excitement while shooting a nude, for example. And I decided that this will be my first practice, to look for situations for shooting that are very exciting for me. Such an original way to get off my comfort zone. And in my case, I would like to remind that I was a young, shy guy. I started to photograph mostly portraits and nude figures, to search for people and situations which impress and excite me, to look for places for shooting that really surprise me, from places of power in the mountains to rock concerts. After all, the camera is a wonderful thing. Under the pretext of photographing you can get the absolutely amazing places and meet absolutely different people who can get to absolutely who paths will probably never cross with mine if I had not been a photographer. This is, for example, a wonderful occasion to approach a person whom you didn't dare to approach before. As you understand, this was a big advantage for my shyness. And from that moment on, everything began to change very quickly. Pretty soon, I began to take pictures of a completely different level. But this was not the main thing. I just wanted to learn to take beautiful pictures, to change my level of photography. But as a result, the process of photographing changing me. I completely changed it through this desire to see and photograph the beauty. I became more sociable, more confident, more cheerful, and more in love through the photography. And I realized that the photography itself can become a practice of self-improvement, a practice of reaching a new level of energy, communications and life, the same as any other development practice. And like any good development practice, it starts to give results both inside and outside of us, making our light structure brighter and richer. And at this point, I would like to reveal to you one of the main secrets, how to become an interesting photographer. It is not so important to learn how to take pictures, but to find what to photograph. This means that, first of all, you should think what you really want to photograph. Search for images that excite and impress you. Start your own creative exploration of life. And not just learn how to turn the light in a nice way and to build the composition correctly. For example, all technical aspects of photography came to me naturally in the course of practice. There's nothing complicated in the theory of using the instrument, but the measurements that you carry out with the help of the instrument, the beauty and meaning of your experiment, that's what really matters. And one of the practical exercises will be to find a person, a situation, or a place that really excites you. We will try to learn on our inner light in this way. Try to turn on our inner light in this way, sorry. And it's not so important what color this light will have. Embracement of or excitement, love or delight, or even fear. Let it be at least a little extreme experience for you. After all, if you want to impress someone with your photos, with your pictures, you must first impress yourself. But of course, not only stress can lead us to higher energy levels. The photographer should not be scared. Photographer should be in love. During this course, I will tell you how you can apply many different methods and practices in photography. From the simplest and most available ones to the modern scientific ones, which will enable you to increase your light characteristics and bring your work to a new level of perception and reflection of reality. For example, today I will give you a small and simple homework. I think that the most simple, quick, and available way to change your mood or give it certain shades is music. By the way, when I take pictures in the studio, I always put some music. I tried many times to take pictures first without music and then asked the person to turn their favorite music. And the pictures became completely different. Take pictures with music. Headphones are a great invention. Try to take pictures of the same object a few times using different kinds of music. For example, meditative and fast music, and without music at all. It can be pictures of the same place, person, or event. For example, you can go for a walk along the same road on different days, listening to different kind of music, and see how different these photographs will be. I'm sure that you will be surprised. But this is for the sake of the experiment. When you work in future, just think what mood you want to put into these pictures and choose the right music. It really helps you. Or it can be your favorite music, which is in harmony with you, with your inner world. Then it will help you become yourself and open to access to your creative power. For example, for me, it sounds of Armenian instrument duduk. These sounds became me to very special state, and I can make very beautiful pictures, very special. After all, music immediately changes the mood. That is the properties of your structures at this very moment. And you begin to generate a certain information and energy field around you. The surrounding place, such as people, animals, plants, water, and air, perceive you not only materially, but also informationally, sort of intuitively, directly. By the information radiated by you, I understand not only the plots of your personality, not just the words that sounds in your tooth, but the special informational structures of your state. Your mood, specific character and color of the biological energy emitted by you. As the informational structures are manifest and come into contact with us not only through material objects, but also directly, instantly, and at any distance. That's why we can hear the thoughts of other people. Some people can do this. That's why we can feel our loved ones at the distance. That's why we can create a certain atmosphere around ourselves that affects people and everything around us, making the world a little better. By the way, I have a wonderful experience with shooting while listening to music. Once we decided to take pictures in a small forest, not far from the city. We drove to the forest by car and decided to turn on the music right in the forest. And my friend happened to have a CD of Bach's organ concert. It could be heard all over the forest. I'm not a big fan of classical music, but Bach certainly makes a strong impression. And I can tell you that I did not have such shots very often. I and my model, Irina, managed to feel something completely new and very strong. And most importantly, I managed to create wonderful images and reflect these states on the photographs. Let's see on these photographs, you can understand what I'm talking about. This is the main pictures from this photo session. The photographs that were taken during this shooting were not just beautiful. They contained something more in themselves, some hidden information, the atmosphere of the place and the state of Irina and me. And it was felt very distinctly by those who watched their works later. No wonder that this photo was published on the cover of the first edition of the book by Konstantin Korotkov, The Energy of Space. Let's see another pictures from this photo session. It's very beautiful and very impressive, very strong. It's pictures of states, it's pictures of energy states. It's not just beautiful and nude pictures. It's not about sexual feelings. It's about more. It's very beautiful. It's been very special experience. Another very strong catalyst for your states is nature. Forests and lakes, mountains and canyons, places of power and even city parks can revitalize your state very quickly. Breathe energy into you, changes the course of your thoughts. The beauty of nature is truly multidimensional. Contemplation of nature can change a lot in you. In these photo sessions, we have a both in music and nature, and it was wonderful. This is the same as in case of music, for example. It seems to me that Bach's music gave us a special state and creative force that attracts millions of people to his works. It is not just beautiful music, but hidden information that changes your inner world, your informational structure. It allows you to do something more, to immerse to the new depth of perception and feeling of the world. And beauty is not just the visible shape of the object. Beauty is unique information and multidimensional informational structure, and even a certain kind of creative force that influences the viewer, changes and heals him. One of the famous Russian writers one time say, "Beauty will save the world." It was Fyodor Dostoevsky, if you read this. I say beauty will heal the world. Every object around us has not only shape, but also content. There is the informational structure of the object. Its properties, functions, goals, and states. There is a huge amount of information around us that we are constantly passing through ourselves. Everything we see, hear, and feel gradually changes our informational light structure. And photography, like music, for example, is one of the most accessible and popular methods of exchanging information on many levels. And even if the viewer does not understand what he sees, as in the case of abstract art, the beautiful, vividly transferred structures are still perceived by his subconsciousness and give him a certain feeling, a state of certain nature that enriches and revitalizes the light structure of a person. For example, have you heard about the concept of inner beauty of a person? Not external beauty, but inner beauty. Usually, this is understood as some good human qualities, yeah, that make the person more attractive, pleasant, and beautiful. But the qualities and actions are just manifestations of the wealth of the person's internal information structure, which is much more than just the character and the level of development of the individual. The inner beauty of a person radiates something that is invisible to the eye, but can be felt directly, something attractive and special. This structure is formed not only by the experience of a person in his life, but also by the experience of their family, their country, and maybe even their soul and past lives, who knows? And with the help of photography, we can partly reflect the richness and subtlety of this structure on photographs. We can try to convey our states and impressions to people, and thus partly enrich their inner world. I realized that if you are engaged into photography in this way, it becomes a certain technology of a more accurate and subtle vision and display of the states of the surrounding world, close to the GDVCAMERA by well or GDVSputnik. After all, what the GDVCAMERA is doing is photographing the special hidden light emitted by the object under certain conditions. And with the help of these pictures, we can learn something about our body that was hidden from us before. For example, about the levels of energy, that is, we can learn more about our own structure through the camera by well. And the word photography in translation means drawing with the light. Yeah, photo is light and graphy is drawing. And when we take a picture, the reflected light is imprinted on it. But the secret is that this light is reflected not only from external forms, that is, from the forms within the range visible to our eyes. The same as in everything around us. In the photographs, there is a reflection of the inner light structure of space, which is not always visible to the eye, but can be perceived by our sixth sense, informationally, directly. And most importantly, during taking photographs, you leave the light imprint of your internal structure on your photos. That is your energy and the results of our observations. That is, the photo depends on our ability to form this state. As we know from physics, it is impossible to observe object, for example, measure it, without producing some influence on it. This means that any contemplations is interaction. We influence the object we look at, and they influence us. I started not just to photograph for the beauty's or memory's sake, but to influence my own life through pictures, as well as other people's lives, my own state of mind and health, my attitude to myself and the world. The photographs themselves, in many understanding, have become sort of multidimensional infrastructures, not only photos, that contain many layers of visual information that affects the viewer and slightly changes his light infrastructure. his perception of the world. During my course, I will teach you to feel and create a structure of photography. And this requires experience and a special mood, the state of infovision, when we evaluate the structure of the photon, not only visually and mentally, but also intuitively and informationally. It's like we know that it's there. We feel the subtext, the hidden message of the photograph. Except this first lecture, we will have 4 more lectures. One of them, as I have already said, will be devoted to the technique of photography. I will tell you what you can photograph and how you can do that, both with SLR cameras and with the even mobile phones. It's not matter. I will tell you about the simplest methods of working with lighting, and we will even touch the subjects of processing photographs on Photoshop, if you like. I will devote another lecture especially to working with people during the shooting. It's most important. I'll tell you about the best way to tune a person, to make them look natural in the frame. How to capture unique moments, facial expressions, and body plastics. We will also conduct a separate lecture on the photography of landscapes, of power of nature, and states of nature. I will share my experience and vision with you, how I manage to capture and convey unique conditions of places, weather or lighting. The final lecture will be devoted to working with our technologies, such as Translighters, intuitive information science, and many others, and how to put this practice in photography. And in conclusion of today's introductory lecture, I will recall the words of a great jazz man, Pat Metheny, who once said during an interview, "When I play, there are 2 people in me. The one who plays and the one who listens. And the one who listens is much more important for me." Indeed, you need to train and develop not only your technique of photography, but also the depth of your perception. Only then it becomes possible to reach the new horizons. Thank you. For the first time, that is all. If you have questions, I should ask them to you, send it by email on me. I write on my email on chat. So thank you and see you next time.
Thank you, Oleg.
Thank you, Oleg, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Here is my mail. You can email me directly your questions or your expressions. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you, Oleg. See you next time. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Спасибо.